Good morning everyone, I'm back, surprisingly, with another video. I can't get enough of filming these days, now I have a bit more free time. Today, coming back with two guns that were already featured in some past videos, but in a different context. As you can see in front of you, you have the French civilian edition of the Famas assault rifle. This one is chambered in 222, not 223. I guess it has to do with some old weird French gun laws. I have the Famas with me, and then I have the MR223A3. And I have this combination of guns for very specific reasons. It's coffee in the morning, it's the finest. Reason why I have these two guns today is because, as you may or may not know, you probably do, since you're watching this video, likely you are a gun fan. France recently switched from this gun to something like this. Now, granted, the French have their own special HK416 select fire version similar to this. However, there are some commonalities. They bought the majority of their guns in, I think, 11-inch configuration, which is exactly the same as you see here. And pretty much the internals are therefore the same. I mean, the same configuration, internally piston system, traditional from HK, of course lighter barrel, different iron sights, different stock, different gas block, but that's it. So the French effectively, if you're a French soldier, or if you are planning to join the military, in the future, most likely you're going to be issued one of this, instead of the good old Clarion, or however it's called. Of course, the 223 military select fire version. What do I think of it? Well, one reason because I collect guns is the fact that I like sort of what they stand for. Okay, guns in general usually represent a bit the country's policy, the country's industrial base, the country's educational setup in terms of engineering. 'Cause, you know, countries organize themselves, set things up, set up production factories. They allocate public funding to develop guns. In France, this was the output of the French sort of state at work. You can argue whether it's good or not for your own personal taste, but I mean, overall, it's was a 223 platform in the year when it was introduced. I think in the late 70s, early 80s. Probably this was quite quite out of the ordinary. Remember, by the same time, the Austrians put into service the Steyr, which was also quite ahead of its time. It still is today to some specs. So French national pride definitely was in its peak at those times. Remember, there was also about the time the Concorde started flying, so supersonic transport, which my father flew many times actually. So things were, back in the days, Western society was really at the apex of introducing new stuff, pushing the boundaries. Fast forward 30 years, and France buys its main assault weapon for the military from the Germans. So they don't even have their own factory that can produce stuff. They don't have money. The know-how is probably lost. They don't have, without the money, forget about it. So what do? In pure economic efficiency, based on economic efficiency grounds, they buy off the shelf the best product, which in Europe nowadays really indeed is the HK416 for sure, for a good price, apparently. And yeah, so I find it a bit sad in general that a country like France is not able to produce their guns anymore. But it's a trend that probably will not stop, and is not limited to guns. So, -1 points for the historical value, but there are some upsides to this decision. I have handled the Famas on quite some occasions, Beyond the fact that I find it a bit annoying to buy 222 ammunition, which is more expensive than 223 and more hard to find in fewer quantities, I have to say, even if it was in 222, the Famas would probably not be the finest rifle in 223 that I have ever shot. Granted, based on what I have in my collection, no, it's not even the oldest. I mean, the oldest that I have in my collection is the Colt SP1, and I would take the Colt over the Famas any day. For a simple reason. It's definitely easier to use, the M16 platform, I mean. It's easier to manipulate. Let's go over the manipulation of the Famas for a little bit. And now, please take into consideration that I have no formal education of this gun from military, but I can imagine the shooting stance. Here you have, I don't know if you can tell, here you can select, you have some you can adjust the rear side. The front side is pretty much just a notch, like AR-15. So this one you can adjust, the front notch you can adjust horizontally, it seems. I never touch it. The rear one, you can open it up a little bit more, a little bit less, depending if you want to shoot probably long distance targets or just, you know, close quarters for rapid target acquisition. So this is what you get to play on top. You have a bipod, not the most, yeah, I like the one on the Sturmgewehr 90 better, honestly. Seems less flimsy. But you do have a bipod, so if you get on the floor and you have to put out some rounds in the distance, you can stabilize your gun. But then, I mean, the positive things pretty much end there. This gun, unlike the M16A1 from the time, which is even older, lacks a bolt hold open mechanism. So once you shoot the last round, it's like an AK. When the magazine is empty and you fire, you just hear the click of death. No more rounds. I'm not saying it's impossible to get around this. You just have to train and have a bit of a feeling on how much are you shooting. Maybe check your magazine a bit more often. Without a doubt, it will make magazine changes a bit longer, and this is probably also not improved by the fact that this is a bullpup. Because you're shooting, you want to swap magazine, take another one. I mean, without looking, staying on target, it's with some training certainly possible, but not that intuitive to really know how to put it in just, you know, one try. Then rack the charging handle and you're ready to go. Well, for sure people will correct me. I mean, I'm probably sure that if you have some extended trigger time in the military with the Famas, you are good at manipulation. But coming from the civilian corner, I can definitely say that the AR-15 is more friendly with regard to manipulations. Let's have a look at how the same soldier would act with the HK416. So the front sights that are delivered are probably similar. The front sight is the same, I think. The back side, the rear sight is different in the French version. But easier to adjust, of course, because at least it's labeled how things work out. Whereas in this Famas, it's not. You have to take the whole carry handle away. This one, you just, when you're at the range and you're shooting and you notice a deviation or you want to set things up correctly, you just do it here on the side. Works perfectly. The selector is here with the safety. In the Famas, it's in the trigger. This for me is not a big deal, so I didn't even go into that. However, the same soldier, you know, when you don't have that much experience and you're just training the manipulations, on target, the gun is empty, you feel it. You feel the recoil impulse. It is different when the gun is shot is less round, the ball is open. You're on target, you can theoretically, you can pretty much stay on target, get the next magazine, and insert it, let go of the ball catch in a more, let's say, intuitive way for the non-initiated. So I'm always, you know, when I do this kind of comparison, I always assume that you don't have that much experience, because in the military, of course, there are special forces which are like they can do anything. There are fucking Terminators, but the normal grunt, the normal infantryman, you know, at the bottom of the food chain, is actually, you know, has just some basic training. Okay, he has to use different weapon system in a variety of situations, but he's by no means a fucking special forces guy. So he's probably, you know, in stress situation, maybe something will fall down, a magazine, maybe he would miss, who knows. It is within the context of this potential guy that I think this gun will serve him a bit better. It has it's easier to sight in and to adjust in situations where maybe you don't have that much time. It's easier to manipulate. The bolt hold open seems like, I don't know, it's for me personally a very big improvement over the stock Famas. Is adjustable to some degree. Whereas the Famas is not readjustable. The Famas is just one big stock. The chassis is what it is, and I hope you like it, because otherwise you can use your bayonet. What else? Modularity, also one big topic. Remember in the last video when I said that SIG was not that modular to begin with? I mean, the Famas is just the quintessential non-modular gun. I mean, talking aftermarket, what do you want to do? I mean, the SIG, at least you can swap the handguard. It's reasonably easy. Actually easier than on an AR-15, you can do it faster. If you wanted to go to plastic, to Picatinny handguard, or vice versa. On this one, it's impossible. What do you do? Here, attach Picatinny right here. You have to drill it yourself. There is no Picatinny rail on the bottom. You have to, I don't know. So modularity for this gun is just limited to the accessories that are proprietary to the Famas, or the Picatinny attachment, sort of intermediate attachment platforms that are done. Because if you look on French news, you see soldiers in Afghanistan who are running a bit more stuff on top of this one. Like grips, etc. I'm not sure how they are attached. I mean, I would certainly not mind trying it out if it was an army-issued gun and really needed that force multiplier. But if you pay for a gun like this yourself, the last thing you want to do is just to get your Hilti or your Bosch drill and just start funking with it. So modularity with this one, non-existent. 0 stars from 5 or from how many stars you want. Modularity for this one, on the other side, I mean, the French version even comes with a big ass quad rail. So you even have more modularity than the A3. You have on 12, 6, 3 and 9 o'clock, you have rails all over the place, rails in your stock, rails in the sling almost. You can add, it's suppressor ready. You can adjust it here. You can swap upper and lower to maybe, I don't know, if you have a problem with some parts, here in the upper or in the lower, you can get probably another lower or another upper and just, you know, ready to go. Whereas with the Famas, if you take this apart, and I did it in another video, I think, you will notice how it's essentially, once you take out the carry handle and the shell of the stock, it's essentially one big piece. There's nothing you can change. The trigger module, you can take it out, but I would like to know when is the last time that a trigger module broke on a gun. Speaking of which, speaking of triggers, the trigger on the Famas is quite horrendous, and this is really hard to change. Whereas the trigger on the HK, I prefer the one from the SIG better, but this one comes close. It's better than stock AR-15 triggers. I guess maybe they do some marginal fine-tuning at the factory in Germany. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. So even in trigger terms, the MR has, or the HK416 has the edge. Not to mention that if you go to war or to some theater with this one, you're likely, if you have some allies from other countries, I don't know, Norway maybe, or potentially in the future, I don't know, any other country who adopts the 416 or the M16 platform in general, you can share mags. If they have an HK416, you can share also some parts, so you have a shared logistic model that can definitely help you out. I cannot imagine this gun's breaking a lot, but you know, already having the same magazine helps when you're out in the field, who knows. Good luck finding someone with this in Afghanistan or somewhere else. Yeah, this is pretty much it. So overall, my feedback to France would be, good job, you're making something that really will help your troops at the front, but I am at the same time a bit sad that France has lost this this kind of a bit arrogance of producing their own stuff and pretending that they're better than the rest of the world. It's probably not true with the Famas, but at least they tried. And this is now vanishing. So, hand of mixed feelings. I'm glad to have the Famas in my collection, and this one, which represents sort of the future where France is going. Yeah, beyond the heritage, I guess, really at the front line, what matters is usefulness, and this one will make French troops definitely better off. Thanks a lot for watching. If you have some questions about how retarded the Famas is, or how much retarded was I when I paid such a huge amount of money to buy it, let me know. For anything else, thank you and have a nice day.